the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The Moose.
You might not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? Cause we're steady on the ground.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the B Plus zone. It is me, your host for this evening, Mr. Mysterious, and welcome to the Major League Report, the podcast where we cover everything in the land of Major League Wrestling. If you want to check out our debut episode, go to the archives last week. So all the rest has since been gone and done dusted. We moved that to our flagship show, which also debuted last week. We've got our second episode of that. Came out a couple days ago. I highly recommend you have a listen to it. If you want a big couple-hour rundown, we try and keep it to about an hour and a half. We understand people have busy lives to lead, and then just everything else, we like to have a little selective segments. We have our Aussie Graps. We have Major League Wrestling. I'm going to talk about Impact Wrestling for the Impact Zone tomorrow, since I didn't get a chance to do it last week. And yeah, but that's not why you guys are listening right now. You guys are listening because you want to hear about the latest stuff from Major League Wrestling. So without further ado, how about we go through MLW episode 74, main evented by Go Shiozaki versus the National Openweight Champion, Alexander Hammerstone. So this episode spanned across the globe. So you had from Chicago to New York City to Nagoya, Japan. So this is like a makeshift episode of just all the extra footage before War Chamber. So I actually thought that War Chamber would be out before this, but clearly not, which is fine because a lot of these stories you needed to tell before leading up to War Chamber when we finally released that. So as I'm aware, I think in the next few days they're going to actually officially release War Chamber. We're going to actually see the War Chamber match, and then they're going to release the other big matches from that event moving forward. So if you were a little bit confused as I was, don't worry. There is a plan. It's in motion. And if you've seen this latest episode of MLW, you need to watch it before the build up into War Chamber, because man, I feel so vindicated. I feel so satisfied. Within 1 minute of this episode, I was hooked, right? So our little recap to start off with, we had a cameraman caught up with Conan entering the building. He's talking about disseminating the information from Selena's phone. It's like a hand grenade, man. I'm just going to pull the pin. I'm going to let it off, and just like everyone's going to wait and go boom. And then out of nowhere, LA Park, Hijo de LA Park, and Bestia 666 ambushed Conan. It was a very awkward beatdown rush segment. It was in the afternoon, and the cameraman, like a true wimp, just yelling for help, but he's recording the whole thing. Just like, oh wait, let me help you, Conan. Oh wait, there's 3 luchadors that are gonna probably beat the shit out of me if I do. But nevertheless, so what happened was, after Conan got jumped, Selena just casually gets her phone back, right? And Selena just walks up, takes her phone out of Conan's pocket, saying like, guess you won't be needing this anymore, and just leaves. And within the first minute of this episode, I fell in love, because we are out of this stupid story. Like, they could keep it going, right? They could say like, you didn't think I backed up all your information onto my phone? They could do that. Please, Major League Wrestling, don't do that, because they've realized like, oh shit, we're in a revenge porn story. We should probably stop. But just the fact that like that course correction, I love that opening for this. So this is a weird mishmash episode, but they had the sense to realize, okay, what is not working right now? We had Conan, who is threatening revenge porn on a model who like posts solicited photos of herself anyway. So there's no real threat there. He says he had 3 wishes, but one wish was him having a match between LA Park and Jimmy Havoc, which is kind of a dream match and does not do anything. There was no repercussion from it at all. So they could think of another way for Conan to have some leverage over Selena, but that doesn't matter right now. What matters, or it seems like, They've actually realized, shit, this is a mistake. Let's just forget about this and focus on other things. Major League Wrestling, I love you. Please tell me that this was the case. But we go on to the first episode, the first match, I should say, of this episode. You have of the Injustice League, Jordan Oliver versus Gringo Loco. So after their incredible 6-man tag from last week, they're going to be having matches during the War Chamber episodes moving forward. But yeah, this was from Chicago, Jordan Oliver versus Gringo Loco. So Jordan Oliver was accompanied by Myron Reed, and they had Oliver gave a little picture-in-picture promo saying he wants payback for Gringo Loco breaking Reed's ribs with the brass knuckles last week. To be fair, he really got some shots in last week. I was expecting some kind of extra beatdown, so now this pre-recorded bit is making up for that moment. So retroactively getting revenge, justice, as you will. But Oliver's saying he rides with these boys. He's young, dumb, and out for blood. I don't know if that's much of a threat when you actually call yourself young and dumb, but I'll go with it. I'll go with it. But yeah, Rich Burkini just relayed the story about how Oliver was stabbed in the eye with a pencil during high school because he hit the other kid with a baseball bat. So he has a twisted sense of justice, right? This is your social media faction, ladies and gentlemen. Do they make sense? No. Are they very talented? Very much so. So you gotta just go like, okay, we're rolling on. We're rolling on. As for the match itself, loved it. Oliver took control pretty early. Like Myron Reed, of course, every 5 seconds when the referee was turned, he would insert himself. Loco got the first heavy move with like a standing moonsault onto Oliver's back. A lot of back and forth. Like they had like the handspring back elbow by Gringo Loco. There were some suicide dives. You had Gringo catch a springboarding Oliver for a power bomb and a split-legged moonsault by Gringo and a tope con hilo as well. Like Gringo Loco, he's been at it for months. Like he's an incredible talent, but he's more of a guiding hand for all these guys. So after the tope, Oliver showed some shoulder pain, so the referee checked him out. Like he was lying down right in the corner. It's like, I'm okay. Yeah, and then allowed Reed an opportunity to punch Gringo in the leg with some brass knuckles and then hit him with a chair. Oliver then immediately sprang into action and rolled up Gringo for the win. So there were a couple moments where Jordan Oliver actually brought out the injustice sign that they bring to the ring. It's just a picket sign with the words injustice, #injustice written on it a bunch of times. So he pretended to use that. The referee took it off him, and then he went to just thumb Gringo in the eye and then kept going. That didn't finish the match. It looked like it might have, but I'm glad they didn't end it there. So they made it a little bit more thorough. Reed was the one who did that to get that little bit of payback. But they're hypocrites. So everyone is out to get them. The referees are out to get them for thinking that they do dirty things, but they are doing dirty things. It makes no sense, but I am rolling with it. They have some momentum behind them, so that's the main thing. I want to see progress. I don't like to see 50-50 booking, so I'm hoping if the Injustice Squad, Injustice League, whatever you want to call them, they could be probable contenders for tag goal at some point. I would love to see that. We had a War Chamber, so we had the promo about the War Chamber match coming up between Tom Lawler, the Von Erichs, and the professional Low-Key. I just love saying that now, the fact that I know it's out there, against the Contra unit. So that is going to be happening September 16th is when the episode should be released. So for us in Australia, it'll probably be on the Wednesday, as if I do that right. But yeah, Low-Key cut a promo, and he said, pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, you may not trust me, but I'm your best option. He addressed his teammates, right? And Low-Key said that he flat out said that it's been ages since we fought, bro. Why are you angry? But obviously a little bit more eloquently than that, he said he's been far removed from the world title picture for the past few months, which is true because they enforced the weight class now. But we're going to say it's because he chose to take a step aside and just, let Tom, you do you, boo. That's his message for the world right now. He talks about the Von Erichs lineage would have ceased to exist in MLW without Low-Key's work. I mean, yeah, I could say that. So because Loki was the one who was kind of behind the scenes pumping MLW and gave the Von Erichs this chance to come back into the forefront in wrestling again. I love that idea. Like he's saying that you should be thanking me in a weird way. But yeah, whatever the outcome, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to say ladies and gentlemen. Whatever the outcome, gentlemen, I'm the best option you have. You need to trust me, and I think he will. I don't think there's going to be. I reckon it will be distrust on the part of Tom Lawler because of the history there. But I don't see Loki outwardly going out of his way to just be like, can you trust me? Can you not? Like, no, he's the professional. He's going to do his job, and will Contra might try and plant those seeds in his team. Like, how can you trust this guy? Oh hell, Contra! I don't know how it's going to work, but hopefully it will. We have the next match. We cut all the way to New York now. We have the match between Richard Holiday, one half of the MLW Tag Team Champions, Mr. Marketable, as he's calling himself now, which, if you asked me that question, if you said that moniker a few months ago, I would have said, oh, hell no. He's just a knockoff MJF. But now he's actually got personality. It's fantastic. Going up against the 2018 Rookie of the Year, Brian Pillman Jr. Holiday cut a pre-match promo in the ring. He's talking about it was creative, right? He was bad mouthing the crowd and just saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I know that you might not think that his trunks were his color, but I look good in gold, don't I?" Because he's wearing his title, and he's talking about conspiracy theories, right? He's saying how the Hart Foundation run things in MLW. It's no coincidence that the dynasty sounds so much like destiny, that we are the only true thing in Major League Wrestling. It was a very convoluted, like, he tried to make it work. He kind of, he landed it. He made it seem, it didn't seem like it was off the top of his head. It felt like a scripted promo for that one. They want to try and make it sound like Dynasty is the ones that have all the plans, all the goal in mind, and yeah, I'll allow it because Richard Holiday, he hasn't had experience to talk. So this is fine. I don't mind him experimenting here. The crowd hated him, so he was just eating it up anyways. Then out comes Brian Pillman Jr. with his Rookie of the Year trophy to give that little gold versus gold thing. The bout began a lot of chops. It was a lot more slower paced than the opening match, which both those guys are middleweights, to be fair. Holiday was often one step ahead of Pillman's attacks, which was very surprising because they'd been billing Brian as the one who's been smarter than the Dynasty for a lot of his matches against them. So it was a little bit of a twist. I'll allow it. You had a lot of highlights like a twisting neckbreaker by Holiday and a rolling senton that he did as well. Very, very slick, very smooth. For the finish, though, I love this finish. This episode, like, I love this match so much. So for the finish, Holiday brought a chair into the ring. The referee intervened before he could actually use it, right? This allowed the opportunity for Pillman to do an Eddie Guerrero, right? But not with a twist. So he, like, faking being hit by a foreign object. He tossed the trophy in Holiday's hands. So it wasn't the steel chair, it was the trophy, right? He takes a bump onto the mat, and the referee sees him holding the trophy. And it looks like he's going to call the disqualification then and there for him using the trophy. And he's just like, oh, I've seen this Eddie Guerrero shit. No, I'm not going to have that. So he just takes the trophy. It looked like he was umming. He was thinking he was going to talk to the ringside announcer. He's going to talk to the official before he made the decision. But before anyone could do anything, so Brian Pillman just straight up kicks Holiday in the balls. He does the low blow. Then he does his straightjacket neck breaker. So he's just like, if that's not going to work, fine. Right between the nads. Swinging neck breaker, straightjacket, 1, 2, 3. I love that extra element because they could have just easily done the Eddie Guerrero and that would be that. But I've never seen anyone kind of keep going with it that little step more. And I'm glad that if it was anyone, because Brian Pillman should be that little bit of a dick, right? He's that cocky young guy who should know all the tricks of the trade, and he should be able to do that without it affecting him being a face or anything like that. Loved it. You needed the Hart Foundation to have some kind of win going forward. I think, because I mentioned this last week as well on the first Major League report. I did the rundown of the War Chamber matches, and you have the Dynasty versus the Hart Foundation. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. I could see potentially the Dynasty winning, but it's just a question of how long will they hold the belts for if they do that. And I saw an interesting post on their Instagram where they actually said you'll see them again in action in January, right? The trio. So the photo was of MJF, Holiday, and Aria Blake. So they could have said the trio meaning Hammerstone as well. But part of me was surprised when they said that. So either they mean that literally like all 3 members of the Dynasty, the wrestlers, and MJF might still be wrestling for MLW in October. They could maybe. I was always under the impression that Major League Wrestling, so once AEW started up officially, they would have exclusive rights to all of their stars in America. They could do anything else, like overseas in other countries, right? That's why you had like the Lucha Brothers. They can do stuff in AAA, but they're exclusive to AEW in America. And I was always under the impression that would be the same with all the American stars as well. But this, maybe Court Bauer and Tony Khan might have an agreement there with MJF where he could actually do both. He would have the time because AEW are going to have a rotating roster of talent. Like, no one's going to be on the same show week in, week out. So if that's the case, but like you hear the stories about he had to vacate a couple belts because of his schedule with AEW. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like a swerve that they're going to pretend like, oh, really? I don't know. Like they could mean the true that the trio is going to be soon. Holiday, Hammerstone, and Aria Blake. It was a very confusing post that they did, right? But I'm hoping that the Hart Foundation win it back. Otherwise, I don't understand how they're going to end the feud the right way. We need something to happen with Jordan Smith. We need a big blowout before everything happens. We had a promo time here. Again, Rich Burkini recapped the video package of last week's show. It was another War Chamber, so they're really ramping up the promos about War Chamber, about Low-Ki and everyone else. So you had Marshall Von Erich. He hopes Low-Ki honors his word. Ross doesn't fully trust Low-Ki, so it's a Von Erich promo. They do have a common enemy in Dallas. They will put an end to Contra. Mance Warner had a warning for Jimmy Havoc. Now, this one, I didn't think I would get excited about, but I am, which is lovely. So Havoc's plan to get him locked up in jail didn't quite work as he would have thought because he was sober and he was left thinking, not thinking and drinking, or Mansa, just thinking in his cell about a big, clear-minded game plan. We love old Mansa when he's drunk. Can you imagine him sober? Oh, very angry man. Very angry man. But yeah, he's got a game plan in mind. He's got the blueprint of pain. Southern Psycho, old Mansa has come to F shit up. Jimmy Havoc, knee pad up, knee pad down. Lariats, light beers, etc., etc. Pretty much everything that Mance Warner says. He's a great promo, but it's the same stuff over and over and over again. He does have a nice spin on it every now and then, to be fair. Rich Burkini had a Q&A with Tom Lawler, so I don't know what it is about Tom Lawler's promos lately, whether he was always like this. It's just like, it seems like he's got an extra, he's like more irritated now, and he's trying to come off as like this valiant babyface promo, but it's not quite working for him. He's quick to aggression, and I don't know if I like it. He needs to kind of course correct there too. Maybe they're just like, dude, you need to take acting classes or something. I don't know. But you had Lawler would rather be inside a steel cage with the Contra unit. Like, there's no place he'd rather be. He says it's his destiny to make sure Contra doesn't walk out on their own. And he's saying, yeah, he doesn't know whether he can trust Low-Ki, much like what the Von Erich said. One thing is for sure is that Low-Ki is a warrior, a professional, and will get the job done. Damn right. Damn right.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
Main event time, ladies and gentlemen. So we cut to Japan for this one. We watched the national openweight champion Alexander Hammerstone versus Go Shiozaki. So this bout took place in Nagoya as part of Noah's N1 Victory Tournament. Very, very different atmosphere, and this kind of sucked my enjoyment out of this episode a little bit, because you had, I don't know when this was recorded, but I feel like it was in the late afternoon, early evening, after the crowd had watched a buttload of wrestling and they were just tired. Now, yes, a Japanese crowd are a lot different to an American crowd, or like English crowd. Like, they're a lot more boisterous. Like the American crowd, I should say. The Japanese crowd are a lot more subdued. They're a lot more respectful. They do claps and things like that. So I get that. But even then, you even had commentary trying to explain all the idiosyncrasies of this crowd. But really, there was not enough of them, because this was a big-ass venue. It had like 3 or 4 stories to it that were just empty. And you just had all the fans were just on the ground floor. So you had that. There wasn't enough of them. And they were just very, very tired. So there's one thing that, yes, it's a Japanese crowd. They're trying to be respectful to whoever is in the ring. But on the other hand, it's just the fact that they were buggered. They were absolutely buggered. And I was just like, that's a shame. But it does give you a chance to actually watch and listen to the wrestlers a lot more, which I am very... It makes you wonder, like, how they can call stuff in a venue that quiet if people are being respectful and you can actually hear them say, like, what they're gonna do. Never mind. But in terms of the match as well, it was a very solid match. It wasn't groundbreaking, but like, it was just the whole change in tone and the crowd, just the level of excitement just was not there. And it does impact you if you're not familiar with Japanese wrestling as much. I didn't quite like it, me personally, but if you guys are familiar with Noah or any other Japanese promotions, you might kind of be used to it. But it's just that look of not as much people in the crowd. It kind of took it out for me. I just want to see people actually having fun and actually want to be there. So, very weird. As for the match itself, so we have a lot of tie-ups at the start. Hammerstone was a little disrespectful on the breakups, but it was Shiozaki who took the little first cheap shot there. The emotion kind of came in when Shiozaki ran the ropes and clashing with the Man Mountain, the Meat Castle, whatever you want to call Hammerstone, to no effect, right? He had some big highlights, like a delayed vertical suplex by Shiozaki. Hammerstone, he did the bicycle kick, followed by a German suplex, and then a bridging German suplex. Like, the dude he's cut from granite. Hammerstone is just fantastic. There's a reason MLW are so high on him right now, and he was chosen to be a part of the N1 Victory Tournament, right? They called him the Golden Gaijin over there, which I thought was hilarious. That's such a dynasty thing to say, and such a nice moniker. Like, who wouldn't we want to be called the Golden Gaijin if you were in Japan? That's like brilliant. And he's just like, and again, because it's a quiet crowd, you could actually hear him say, "Come on, mother flirkin', let's just get this shit done." And a bunch of forearm shots. Hammerstone got the better of Shiozaki with a swinging Uranagi. It was for a near fall. Shivani accused the referee of being biased, which, no, it seemed like he was being pretty fair there, but he was trying to make like some drama happen and make it seem like the crowd would like, it's a outrageous hypocrisy, I tell you. You know, Hammerstone attempted to dishonor Shiozaki by trying to end the fight with a burning hammer maneuver. But yeah, that was used by Shiozaki's mentor, Kenta Kobashi. So it was a nice little FU moment that he was trying to do. Didn't work out for him. Right, and you had the really, my favorite spot personally. Shiozaki was powering up to end the match with a running lariat, but Hammerstone clobbered him with a jumping high knee. Very you have never seen him do that before. So it's just that sound, and again, very quiet crowd. You can hear the impact of just boom. It was ugly. I watched it for the last couple minutes of the match just for that, right? And Hammerstone followed up with the powerbomb. Shiozaki kicked out at 2. Like, I would have ended it there personally. But yeah, eventually, he did the Hammerstone did the Nightmare Pendulum at one stage, and that was for a near fall. So I don't think anyone's actually kicked out of the Nightmare Pendulum before. So it just goes to show how much they want to invest in Shiozaki and this relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah. So it didn't work the first time. But after he did a little throat slash taunt, he did the Nightmare Pendulum again. 1, 2, 3. Hammerstone, the Golden Gaijin, wins the match. We ended the episode. We should have ended it there again. I found it very bizarre how this episode ended. So after and during the match, you had the Contra unit flag kind of like it appears and it disappears. There has been no rhyme or reason behind it. It's just a reminder, like, no, Contra have taken over everything. They're all seeing, all knowing. But I would like a purpose to it, because if you're going to show it while Hammerstone's in Japan, I would like to think like they've got their eyes set on the openweight title. But there's no one in that group that I think could even compete against Hammerstone. So that's the only reason I see that Contra flag flying. It's just to remind the viewers that they're there, but not to actually be like, oh, we've got our eyes set on the dynasty. I would like more meaning behind it, and not just that personally. So overall, this episode MLW Fusion, while the main event, it kind of deflated me a little bit. The first couple matches, the promos, like we ended with the War Chamber, another big War Chamber promo leading up to the next taping. So we're very, very heavy into this War Chamber stuff, which is overshadowing a lot of the other stuff going on, but I thought it was great, right? Both the US matches with the cheating climaxes, they worked well in their own different ways. Injustice cheating, to show how much hypocrites they are. Brian Pillman do these just shenanigans, right? Very unique matches. Even the Japan match is very unique in its own way, and it was a great go-home episode of Major League Wrestling. We had a couple other stories I want to share with you guys before I end my time with you all. We had some other news stories that one pretty much happened the day after I recorded the first Major League report. So I talked about LA Park with his golden ticket. Like, he'll cash it in after the War Chamber match. He could do that. But just flat out, Major League Wrestling, Selena De La Renta announced that LA Park will cash in his golden ticket at their November super fight event in Chicago. Just flat out, just like, no, this is when he's going to do it. That's it. And I did the kind of it kind of takes the moment out of it. I mean, like, I would like to think LA Park could win the gold. I do. And I thought if you had shenanigans, because I need to bring his agent to the factor here to make it seem like he could become a world champion. You would love for him to have that sort of cunning and just like taking advantage of a prone champion. You kind of need that. So I'm very weary of him just like, oh, I'll announce it beforehand. But that's guaranteed. Though I'm disappointed that we just flat out said it, but it's going to be an actual match. So it's a bad thing, but the good thing is we're going to get an actual match between LA Park and the Samoan smashing machine, Jacob Fatu. These two big boys are going to go all around Cicero Stadium. Like, it's going to be an unsanctioned fight because everything that Contra's been doing has been a violent fight, an unsanctioned fight, or some weird no DQ clause, which is right up LA Park's alley. I'm excited. I am very excited, and I think LA Park can still win this. I don't feel like I'm a fanboy in saying it. I honestly think that Selena should be back on the incline, like should be back on the rise again in Major League Wrestling, and to do that she needs one of her stars to have gold again. So they could have, like, you've got the Dynasty they have the open weight and the tag titles. I don't see them going after them just yet. They could go after Teddy if Austin Aries, so after Austin Aries wins the belt, which I assume he will, I could see maybe Bestia competing for it. You could have Bestia go after it. That would be a very interesting one. But in terms of the most likely person out of that entire group to get some gold and give Selena some credibility as a manager again, LA Park, I want to be the next world champion. They would be just a nice little feather in his cap that the man who was a legend in WCW would actually get that honor. And I love to see Selena in her element. I love to see her being this figurehead, the impresaria of Promociones Dorado, and the producer, the only Latino producer in wrestling history, I think was how she span it. Some other news we have here, we have Septimo Dragon. He's going to be making his appearance at War Chamber in the next couple weeks with the tapings, and he's signed a new multi-year deal with Major League Wrestling. Another great get for Major League Wrestling, so I'm very curious how his debut will go when he faces up against the Los Parks. We have Savio Vega. This one interested me. So he's been activated from the injured reserve amidst legal dispute with Selena De La Renta. So he's been medically cleared to return to action after his purposeful but not purposeful bump that he took from the Nightmare Pendulum, right? And they were looking into the legality of, like, oh, the Nightmare Pendulum is so dangerous. Should Hammerstone be even allowed to use that move ever again, right? But yeah, the league was still evaluating the legality of the move, so they're still trying to process that and just like, but all the while, Vega has recovered from his injuries and endured a nasty legal battle from Selena De La Renta. So he's suing Vega over Selena's suing him over a contract dispute. So if you remember back to before he had that match with Hammerstone, it looked like Selena was going to sign him, but Conan thwarted her plans, and then he retaliated by just like ripping up the contract. You thought that was done and dusted, right? Vega has retaliated in his own way by mentoring the Buck Snort brawler Mance Warner in his war against Promociones Dorado. Like what a moniker, the Buck Snort brawler. That's not going to catch on. But the whole stupid backstage thing from this is that they're going to try and make it seem like Savio Vega is in Mance Warner's corner for his match against Jimmy Havoc. It makes no sense, but I just needed to throw it out there. that at least Savio Vega is cleared. They're still trying to make the Nightmare Pendulum seem like this dangerous move when it was just not used on an old man who just took a very ugly bump. But you gotta take these things as they come. And you had the announcement MLW is returning to Orlando Saturday, November 9th. Tickets go on sale this Monday. And that's pretty much it with Major League Wrestling. So you guys excited about War Chamber as I am? Because I've run down the card. It looks like it's going to be one of the biggest events that MLW has had to date. And I'm hoping that that Super Fight will be able to take that momentum to new heights. Because I could see that being one of the biggest shows of the year. And again, you guys should watch it. It might be their last free pay-per-view on YouTube. So definitely take up the opportunity. Hint, hint, guys. But that's it for this Major League report. Thank you so very much for listening to me ramble for the past 30-odd minutes. If you'd like to follow me on all the socials, I'm at Mr. Mysterious with a 1-7-I, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Grapple. Hit me up. Let me know what you thought about this mishmash episode of Major League Wrestling and what you think will happen in the War Chamber between the Contra Unit, the Von Erichs, Tom Lawler, and Low Key. If you want to follow us collectively here at the B+, because we're a great bunch, you know it's true, you've listened to us. If we are at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling went fifth, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Remember our Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Any amount if you donate would be greatly appreciated, so we can keep giving you all what you want, when you want, showcasing the very best of Australian wrestling and keeping you up to date on all the wrestling news from around the globe. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. I've been Mr. Mysterious for the Major League Report, and guess what? I'll see you guys later.